It's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle. It will disappear. When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero. Sometimes they just get the sniffles. Sometimes they just get something where they're not feeling quite right. And sometimes they feel really bad. But that's a little bit like the flu. It's a little like the regular flu. Ultimately, the goal is to ease the guidelines and open things up to very large sections of our country as we near the end of our historic battle with the invisible enemy. It'll go on for a while, but we win. We win. I said earlier today that I hope we can do this by Easter. We will be extending our guidelines to April 30th to slow the spread.
So we've never really done all of these things that we're doing. We've put them into a model. We've looked at the Italy data with their self-isolation, and that's where we come up with, if we do things together well, almost perfectly, we could get in the range of 100,000 to 200,000 fatalities. We don't even want to see that.
This is inconvenient from an economic and a personal standpoint, but we just have to do it. That is our major weapon against this virus right now. Yeah. We don't have a vaccine that's deployable. This is the only thing we have. But it is very strange how one individual can get infected and have either mild or no symptoms, and another individual could rapidly deteriorate with viral pneumonia and respiratory failure. There's something in mechanism, whether it's genetic, whether it's immune response. I've been doing infectious diseases now for almost 50 years. And I could tell you, I don't fully understand exactly what the mechanism that is, and we really need to figure it out. Right now, the epicenter of it in the United States is New York City.
Number of deaths, highest single increase in the number of deaths since we started. 2,300 to 2,900 deaths. You see the totality for New York State, 102,000. It is unbelievable to me that in New York State, in the United States of America, we can't make these materials, and that we are all shopping China to try to get these materials, and we're all competing against each other. 70 cents before this started. It's now as high as $7. But this is all that an N95 mask is. It's fabric, it's material. The FDA has the specifications, and then it's 2 pieces of elastic cord. It can't be that we can't make these. There's nothing sophisticated about the manufacturing of this garment. It can't be that companies in this country and in this state can't transition to make those supplies quickly.
I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman.
This is NewsRap, live at 5.
The home edition.
Exactly how we envisioned coming back, but we are back. And the first thing I want to say is I hope everyone is staying healthy out there.
Yeah.
It's very, very important that you stay healthy and also keep us healthy. So, you know, when you go to the market, keep your social distance, do all of those good things, and we'll get through this very incredible time.
You know, and I know a lot of people want to go out too, but now's the time to think about the next guy and yourself. Because it's real easy to want to run out there, but A, you don't want to catch something and bring it home.
Right.
And at the same time, we have to just proceed right now, Barry, like everybody has this.
We do, and you know, and that's the safest way to think, is that we all have it, even if we're asymptomatic. And that's really the safest way to go about life right now. It's strange. I mean, it really is. I was on of course, everything is a call and a conference call and a meeting through a call or through a Zoom or or Skype or whatever it is. And
Kind of like this.
And I was talking to someone today, and in the conversation, it came out he tested positive. He's in New York.
Wow,
And
really?
he tested positive. He had a mild form, which meant that he was sick for about 8 to 10 days.
Well, it's scary, man, because
actually, I had something in the early part of March that I gave my wife, and now we're beginning to wonder whether it is COVID-19, even though my doctor kind of said he didn't think so based on the symptoms. But now more and more information is coming out that some of the obvious symptoms aren't always the symptoms.
And that was a scary time because I remember you and I talked when you were sick. Mm-hmm. And my immediate thought when you said, I've got a fever, I think I have the flu, was, oh man, we were just in the studio with 20 people.
That's right.
And, that's how you have to think. You have to think to be safe. I was sick in mid-February and same kind of thing. Now I wonder what I had. I mean, I had some mild symptoms, but I remember in the middle of that saying to my wife, who was also sick, it's like the flu, but it doesn't feel like the flu.
That's right.
So who knows?
I know. And so we're doing the show. We couldn't stay away that long. So we're here and we're doing the show, and we're going to try to keep doing the show as much as we can. We don't know how long this is going to last. My guess is it isn't going to end on April 30th. That's my guess. I have a feeling we're going to be staying in place for another possible month after that.
Well, I know it's not going to end tomorrow, and I know it's not going to end next week. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And I think that's all I can do right now is look ahead one day and 1 week at a time and not get caught up in how long this is going to take. I'll go stir crazy if I start thinking that way.
Yeah, I think that's right. So we don't exactly know how all the technology is going to work. If all of the technology is going to work, we're on Skype, and Skype can be a little temperamental sometimes. So we can't be absolutely sure. As a matter of fact, and I ought to ask the control booth, are we on Facebook, and can we get comments, or is that not happening?
Give us a thumbs up. Oh.
Okay, great.
All right, it's in the works.
So we may be able to. So if we are on Facebook, I do want to give a shout out because I know that the state's going through a lot of pain, and that's to our friend in New Jersey, Sarah. And I hope you're staying healthy. She's been a big fan of the show, and we just want to make sure that we want to let you know we're thinking of you, and stay well.
Yes, please. So let's chop this up, Barry.
Go ahead.
More than 1 million people have this now. More than 50,000 people have died. The U.S. numbers were over 200,000, over 250,000, and almost 7,000 people have died.
Yeah.
How in your mind, in your opinion, what you're thinking, what you're hearing, what you're reading? I know you're reading a lot. I see all the books back there. How bad does this get?
We don't know. We honestly don't know. I mean, they're doing a lot of mathematical modeling, basically. And nobody really knows, I mean, what we're hearing from the White House is 100,000 to 240,000 could die if we do everything right. If we do all of the mitigation strategies, that many could die. Now, there are other people that are disputing that. There are other people that say, no, that's not going to happen. Then today, I heard a report say, well, let's assume that half the people in the country get it.
Okay.
That's 160 million people. Let's assume that 1% of the people who get it die. That's 1.6 million people.
Yeah. And you know what's wrong with that White House number? that White House number is done on the model that all states have a safer at home order, which as of right now tonight, only 45 states do.
Right.
It also assumes that those orders go into May,
Right.
not end in April, but deep into May. So we are not yet in the position where we are following that model. We are not currently following that model right now at 5:12 on Friday night.
No, we're not.
And it's hard to take, I just, just speaking truth to power in a crisis, it's hard to take this White House's word on anything, because I remember when we were at 15 people and this guy said next week we'd be at 0.
Well, I decided that I'm not probably going to die from the coronavirus.
Well, that's a good thing.
I may die from a stroke, because every time I watch this man, who I guess is president of the United States, and I have to live with that, I'm ready to just blow up. I'm ready to explode. The stupidity that I hear coming from him is so staggering. And I don't want to be political about this. I really don't want to be political about this. And I really hoped when this started that he would at least have the people around him that gave me the confidence that they could handle a crisis. And in some ways, I think the medical people are strong. I mean, Anthony Fauci is strong.
Fauci's good.
I had a lot of faith in Birx until I heard her on Fox saying how brilliant the president was at grasping scientific data. And then I said, well, okay. Well, I won't say she drank the Kool-Aid. What I will say is she's figured out how to deal with Trump, which is to kiss his ass and to hope that some information will get through, the orange-covered brain. So it's so scary to me, though. He puts Pence in charge of this, and Pence is as much of a huckster as Trump is.
Well, how many times did we hear Pence say?
Talking points.
Yeah, well, how many times did Pence say because of the president's great leadership? If you take a shot every time Pence says that, we're all on the floor drunk in about 10 minutes.
And
that's all he's saying.
Not just Pence, Azar, Redfield. Yeah. I mean, it has to come out of their mouths. It seems like it's a requirement.
Right.
That has to say how brilliant, how great President Trump's leadership is. And this is President Trump's initiative and President Trump's stimulus package. No, it isn't. It was worked out by Pelosi and Mnuchin and Schumer. That was the stimulus package that ultimately passed. President Trump's package did not pass. It didn't even have 50 votes in the United States Senate.
To pivot, and then I'll come back to that. He's not the only one who got it wrong, because you had a lot of healthcare officials saying early on that we should worry more about influenza and the flu.
Right.
Don't buy masks because masks don't work, which is a direct quote in some cases.
Right.
And now yesterday, we're seeing this huge about face from the CDC. I mean, I put it in a story. I've got quotes from the Surgeon General where he says, stop buying masks. They are not effective.
But what he is getting wrong is the responsibility and the role of the federal government.
Of course.
And as a liberal, I've often said that conservatism can kill people. And the reason, now we're proving it, but the reason I say that is that you can't have people run a government who don't believe in government. It just doesn't work. And they don't believe in government. They believe in this states' rights bull at a time when states' rights has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing.
This is not, I don't know what that said. This is not.
Well, it was backward, because we're seeing it backward. But I think what it says is to go to the local brief.
Okay.
And we should do that, because we do have information to impart. So let's do that.
All right.
Here we go.
This is your local news brief for Friday, April 3rd, 2020. Pasadena now reports 49 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the city. 11 of those cases are hospitalized. Currently, there are no COVID-19 related deaths in the city. During a special council meeting on Monday, March 30th, Pasadena Public Health Department Director Dr. Ying Go gave a 10 to 11% positive testing rate in the city, on par with the rest of Los Angeles County. Go also outlined 4 major points that communities needed to meet in order to combat the pandemic: securing more protective personal equipment, sustained community mitigation, like staying at home unless you're an essential worker or running essential errands like grocery shopping, expanding healthcare worker resources, and increased testing. During a special council meeting on Monday, March 30th, City Manager Steve Mermel emphasized the hit Pasadena's economy is taking during the pandemic. He mentioned the decrease in sales tax revenue, as well as the decrease in ancillary revenue that comes from things like parking citations. On March 18th, the city released a statement modifying parking policies that suspended many of the city's parking offenses during the pandemic. Mermel also broke down President Trump's stimulus package. He explained that direct funding to states goes to local governments with populations of at least 500,000 people. Mermel said during the meeting, the city of Pasadena and most cities will not qualify for this. According to the city of Pasadena's website, as of July 2016, Pasadena's estimated population is just over 142,000. Governor Gavin Newsom announced that public schools will not reopen for the remainder of the academic year due to COVID-19. California Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond, released a statement saying, "This is in no way to suggest that school is over for the year, but rather we should put all efforts into strengthening our delivery of education through distance learning." The Pasadena Unified School District, or PUSD, has been providing meals through its Grab and Go program for families during school closures. Meal distribution was suspended on Monday, March 30th, after the PUSD received word of a kitchen employee possibly infected with COVID-19. The employee was tested and is awaiting results. The meal program resumed the following Tuesday using an outside vendor. PUSD Superintendent Brian McDonald released a statement saying, "Following the guidance of the Pasadena Public Health Department, deep cleaning and sanitizing of kitchens and facilities will be conducted, and the employees' co-workers were advised of possible exposure. We plan to resume regular meal service by PUSD staff on April 14th. The Grab and Go meal program has been modified to operate weekdays from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the following schools: Elliott Arts Magnet Academy, Field Elementary, John Muir Early College Magnet High School, Madison Elementary, McKinley K-8 School, Norma Coombs Elementary, and Wilson Middle School.
All right.
Well, we're having issues too. So 49 people have been confirmed. Is that
49 as of 40? Yes, 49 as of yesterday. And I didn't work today, so I don't know if the count was updated. But locally, our count went up every day this week. 15 from 15 to 25 were confirmed on Monday. I mean, kind of substantial jumps, but we're doing more.
Thank goodness, no fatalities.
And no fatalities of Pasadena residents. I mean, there's been a fatality at Huntington, obviously, but it wasn't a Pasadena resident. I have a question here about preparedness, though, and not locally, but just nationwide, because the way I remember it after 9/11, there was a lot of talk about being prepared for a bio attack, smallpox or a dirty bomb. Both of those things would have required more ICU beds, more respirators, and the talk during the Bush administration was preparedness. We need to be prepared. Obviously, we didn't get prepared, or maybe they did increase the ventilators and ICU units, but we are woefully unprepared for something like this as a nation right now, is what it comes down to.
Well, Trump's been saying that. He says he inherited a broken system. He said not just from Obama, but from Bush, from, so in other words, anyone who isn't him. But that he inherited a broken system. And And maybe he did. The problem is that months ago, he was told that it was a broken system.
Right.
Months ago, he was told that there should be preparation for a pandemic. Months ago, he doesn't understand the concept of mobilization. I mean, yesterday, we heard Cuomo say there's a bidding war. States are bidding against each other. Then the guy who's in charge of logistics, this admiral or whoever he was yesterday, gets up and says, well, we're not going to disrupt the supply chain, so we're giving the equipment to private vendors who are selling them to the states. That's why you have a bidding war.
So can you imagine how much those things are selling for?
Capitalism is great. I love capitalism. I'm not a socialist. But in this situation, you have to be a socialist. In this situation, you can't say that you take a ventilator that normally costs $25,000 and say, well, now it costs $50,000.
Yeah, because New York is
happening now.
Well, if you do that, New York and California are going to get them all. The richest states are going to win.
Right.
Sooner or later,
California, which is the 5th largest economy in the world.
Sooner or later, even if we're at 50,000 now, as those states get desperate, the richer states will go, I'll just give you $1 million for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a capitalist, you're not going to turn that money down. It's just the reality of the situation.
No.
He also closed down the pandemic office that Obama set up. I mean, and
right.
If you go to the State Department, I don't want anybody to think I'm talking out of turn. If you go to the State Department and you look online, you can see the press release where the State Department, the Trump State Department, gave China 17 tons of masks, gowns, respirators,
PPE,
and equipment, which we desperately need now. And for all we know, they're selling it back to us. They very well could be selling some of it back to us.
They very well could. I mean, Cuomo said today, and you saw it on the cold open, a mask that used to be 70 cents is now $7.
Wow.
It's now, I mean, should people be basically, this isn't war profiteering. This is profiteering off of the lives of American citizens. Because we're going to come to a point, if this doesn't change, and I don't want to sound, completely defeatist, but I have to say this. I honestly believe we're going to come to a point where somebody, somewhere, is going to die because they do not have a ventilator. It's going to happen. And you can't have this kind of just-in-time production that Trump is envisioning, which is, well, if you need it tomorrow, we'll get it to you tomorrow. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a big deal out of he invoked the Defense Production Act, right? Mm-hmm. Finally, to get GM to produce ventilators. Well, what they said was, yes, we will produce ventilators and they will be ready in 100 days. How's that helping anybody?
Yeah.
It might be over in 100 days.
Yeah. Or a lot of people can die in 100 days. I mean, today in the U.S., more than 1,000 people died of the coronavirus. Think about that. Mm-hmm. If you think of it this way, this is how I think of it.
600 in New York, by the way.
600 in New York.
There were 600. New York went overnight from 2,300 to 2,900 fatalities.
Now think of this. If there was a person, just one person with a gun, who killed 1,000 people overnight, we would take every possible measure as a country to find and stop that person.
Right.
Here, we are failing to take every possible measure because he could enact a nationwide safer-at-home order right now. Yeah. Which he refused to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we got to go.
That is states' rights. That is that states' rights crap. That is what that's about. I don't know whether that's Pence's influence or Stephen Miller's influence or Pompeo's influence. It's somebody's influence, but that is states' rights.
Well, I think personally he's afraid of pissing off people in Republican states and red states,
You got it.
and he thinks it's going to come back to haunt him in November. Well, listen, you lose a couple of family members in this, you go broke in this, that could come back to hurt him in November also. I mean, the only way out really is if we all stay at home. So this crap about ending this quicker, if he says this is over and does a Bush and says mission accomplished too soon, people start going outside, we will triple the infection rate overnight.
We will, but we can't stay home forever.
I agree.
And that's where the testing comes in. And we should be testing almost the entire population, not just people that come in at death's door to a hospital. We should be finding out if people like me and people like Sheila, had the coronavirus.
I agree.
We should be finding out about these antibodies. And we can't do any of that. Again, because Trump didn't take it seriously from the very beginning. What did he, 15 people and it's going to be down to 0.
This was the time to use that presidential alert system. This was the time back in February, not March, not making light of it when it's 15 people, February. As a country, and I'm not saying we have to send everybody home in February, we should have started educating people. That's when it was time to do it. In the healthcare system and in the White House.
He keeps talking, we just delivered 5 million masks. Do you know that many doctors have said we will need 3 billion masks?
Damn, that's a lot of masks, bro.
It's a lot of masks, because you're not supposed to be reusing them. You're not. That's what the whole point is of the mask. You don't know what's on them. So you're not supposed to be reusing them. But what bothers me is he keeps calling himself a wartime president.
Yeah, I keep hearing that line.
But the word he's missing here, if you're a wartime president, the word is mobilization.
Right. And leadership.
The entire country should be mobilized for one purpose. Every chemical manufacturer, every drug manufacturer, every equipment manufacturer, one purpose. That's mobilization. And you put one person in charge of it with all of the lists. Yeah. And they do what has to be done. And instead, we're seeing this hodgepodge of great governors like Cuomo and Newsom and Inslee and other governors like DeSantis and Kemp who don't know their you-know-what from their elbow.
That's where it is.
I know. And that's where it's going to have to stay until next week. We're getting the wrap-up sign, so that's it.
Major accomplishment.
We'll try it again. We'll try this again. Be well, Dre. Be well, everybody. Please.
Hey, take care, folks.
Absolutely. I'm Barry Gordon.
And I'm Andre Coleman, still at home.
This has been NewsRap, live at 5, home edition.
Take care. Watch some Netflix, everybody.
Yeah.